Alright, today's video is to show you how to edit your Levitation composite photos so that you have one picture where it looks like someone is levitating or floating. You need to have two photos for this project. You need to have your background image, which you see here, and you need to have your people photo, which you see here. You want to edit and start with your background image, and you are going to drag your people image on top of your background image. So I'm going to click over to my people image. I want to make sure I'm on my move tool. If you go over here, the arrow, you want to make sure you have your move tool selected. I'm clicking on my photo, holding down my mouse, and I'm going to hover over my background picture until it pops up. And then I'm going to drag my picture so it's in the center, and then I'm going to let go. Now if you look over on my layers panel, I have my background layer and I have my people layer on top. I'm going to name this people, and I do that by clicking on the layer and then double clicking just to keep track of what I have here. Now if I turn off my people layer, turn it back on, I can see they line up pretty good. What I'm going to do is go to my people layer. I'm going to go up to here to where it says opacity. I'm going to turn down the opacity, and I'm going to see that my bridge, do you see how it does not quite line up exactly perfectly? So I'm going to, with my move tool, click on my people layer and move it over until it lines up perfectly with my background layer. So I moved it just slightly, but that's going to make my life much easier. Now I'm going to come back to my people layer, and I'm going to turn the opacity all the way back up. The next thing I need is a layer mask because I have to erase my people, but I don't want to actually erase any pixels. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to click on the layer mask. Now I have a white layer mask over my people. Now I'm going to brush off my people. I need to click on B so that I have my brush. See how it turned into a circle? I want to make sure that my brush color is black. Now I'm going to zoom in, and I'm doing Command plus to zoom in. I need to erase my people. Remember, I'm using H for the hand tool to move my picture around. Now I have a brush. Right now I want it to be very soft, so I'm turning the hardness all the way down. And I'm just going to erase my people. Now when I come down to the bridge, my bridge lines up almost perfectly, so I can just brush right over it, but it does not erase the bridge because my bridge is on my background layer. And I'm going to come over here and erase Maddie. Notice how I'm kind of doing a quick and sloppy job. I'm not really getting very close to that blanket. Now to make this as realistic as possible, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm doing Command plus, and now I'm going to use the H or the hand tool to move it over exactly where I want. Now do you see how the edge is really fuzzy? To make this look realistic, I've got to really bring out the edge of this blanket. So I'm going to come up here, this is my brush tool, and I'm going to increase my hardness. I don't want to go all the way over, but I'm going to go about 70%. Now notice the edge is much harder. I'm going to zoom in even closer. I'm going to make my brush much smaller. And now I can bring out the details around that blanket. Oops. Edit, undo brush tool. I have to erase my son's sweatshirt and his fingers. I'm just going to erase this whole part of the blanket. Make my life easy. Now, the more detailed you can get, the more realistic it's going to be. I have a lot of details in this blanket. Make my brush bigger. I'm using the bracket key to make this brush bigger and smaller very quickly. Now I'm going to use H, the hand tool, to move over to the other side by Maddie. Using the bracket key to make my brush smaller. Using the H or the hand tool to move around precisely where I want to go. All right, now to get into these details, I read a really small brush. Gotta get rid of that pink because that's a giveaway. The more careful you can be, the more realistic it's going to look. Or as realistic as Levitation can look. You can see that I have a little shadow of her pants left right here, so I'm going to make a big brush and make sure I have all this brushed off. All right, that is how you use layer masks to create levitation. And I